Are you single, dating, engaged, or married? Do you struggle to communicate with the person that you love? Today, we're going to talk about how to communicate. Communication is hard. Char and I, we know. We've been married 27 years, and we still struggle with how to communicate. So keep watching, because we're going to share 6 communication tips that have helped us communicate better, and they can help you. Hi, I'm Char with a C.
And I'm Shar with an S.
And we're not here to sell you something.
We're here to share you something. So be sure to subscribe below, ring the bell, like, and be sure to watch to the end. So like marriage, communication is a work in progress. And to improve your marriage, you must improve your communication.
First of all, our marriage is not perfect. In fact, we argue because we're both independent thinkers. We both have 2 different brains, 2 different minds. We don't think alike. That's okay to not think alike. You don't have to be compatible in every single thing. You actually learn to love with one another as you go. That's how marriage really works. So it's okay to have different opinions. It's okay to, but it's not okay to disrespect each other. That's where the hard part comes in, is me respecting Char's beliefs and ideas, Char respecting my beliefs and ideas. That's the hard part. I'd like to start off our video about how to communicate by sharing a revelation that God gave to me as I was working with Char during one of our work days. You see, we've worked in business for 20 years out of the 27 years that we've been married, so we've learned a lot about how to communicate. Listen to this illustration that God gave to me about how to communicate. I think it's going to help. And see, at a job, you get to get a check, right, to do your work. What you were hired to do, you're at your job, you get a check for that. But I bet you wouldn't go to your job disrespecting everyone else in your workplace. I bet you wouldn't last very long, would you? But now at home, in our marriage, how much more, okay, should we try to, we're not getting paid. Charlotte's not paying me a check to, come home and be her husband. I made a promise I would be her husband. I'm not getting a check. But the same effort I apply at my job, I know we at our job apply a lot of effort if we're good workers for our employer. But now, marriage, it's the same kind of partnership, but it's even more so a partnership. We must even try harder. And that's where it comes to play. Don't try to be perfect, just try to get along.
Okay, so communication tip number 1. Don't call names. Sometimes that can be my struggle because maybe I feel like I want to call Char a jerk, or you acting like a jerk, or whatever, which isn't very nice and is probably not very respectful. So one of the things you don't want to do is, when you are trying to communicate or want to communicate with your loved one, is call them a name. And I'll give you an example. Probably this week, Char, I don't even remember what happened, but maybe his tone or something wasn't like I wanted it to be. And so I said, well, I know what I'll do. I'll send him an email, which I did, and it said, "You're acting like a jerk." And I sent it to 2 of his emails to make sure that he got it. And I just waited to hear if when he got the email in his office. And he got it, the first email, and he said,
"Stop sending me hate email."
And then I just kind of laughed. And then when he went to check his emails in his second one, he said it again.
"Stop sending me hate emails."
So anyway, we were able to laugh about it, and that's probably the worst it gets in our home as far as me saying something like that. But you definitely don't want it to, as far as communicating. I would say the number 1 tip is don't call each other's names, and don't be swearing at each other and different things like that, because that's not going to make the process of communicating effective.
Communication tip number 2. Take down the pictures from the Hall of Shame. Isn't it easy to remember our bad experiences? Our minds are like empty walls, and each of us decide what's important. So without even knowing it, we hang those important, happy, sad, angry thoughts on the wall of our mind. Okay, so here's the problem. Our minds are too good at reminding us that we should avoid pain, right? So in marriage, what do? We get hurt. We got hurt last week, last month, whenever we got hurt. We get into a defensive posture in our communication whenever our minds remind us that, hey, here it comes again. The person that hurt me, they're getting ready to disrespect me. They're getting ready to walk on me again. And I don't want that to happen, right? So I don't want pain. So I want to fight, to protect myself from that pain. And that's what causes an argument.
So here's what I do regarding the hall of shame. What I do is I really have to take the time to ask God to fill my heart with His love. Because the Bible says that from the heart is what comes out of our mouth. And so I need to replace negative words with more kinder words in communicating. And it's not something that I do just, every so often. It's something that you actually have to make the decision to do every single day. And that will help communication be more effective and be done in a more respectful way.
So what does your pain look like? Getting rid of negative self-talk in our mind might remove one picture from the hall of shame. But that hall of shame filled with all those pictures of your spouse doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, hurting your feelings, disrespecting you. What we tend to do as humans is we allow the person, give them a second chance to correct or redeem themselves. But if they mess up again, we go, there they go again, messing up again. You disrespecting me again with that mouth. You're being disrespectful, saying those words I don't want you to say. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to take that picture that I took down from the hall of shame. I'm going to put it right back up. And I'm going to remind myself that you're that way, so I won't forget, so I can keep my guard up, so when you get ready to hurt me or disrespect me, I already got my shield up and it's not going to feel so bad, right? So that's what we do. It's kind of crazy, but when our spouse messes up, we kind of forgive them and then unforgive them. We forgive them by taking the picture down from the hall of shame, but then we unforgive them, or we stop forgiving them, put the pictures right back up on the hall of shame when we feel hurt again. And so we must continually work on what pictures are hanging up in the hall of shame that would have to be taken down, so I can truly, what would it feel like, to truly remove that picture from the hall of shame and just not keep putting it back up and not thinking and believing all that negative self-talk that person's going to mess me up again.
And that's why in a relationship, when it comes to communication and being able to communicate continuously through the relationship, which is a forever process, it's important to continuously wipe the slate clean and forgive. So communication tip number 3, schedule and block time in the day or at a future date so you guys can get together and discuss whatever issue so it can be resolved. Be sure to commit a day and time and calmly discuss the problem. Now, what you need to also do is make sure that both of you are cooled off. So if it's later that day or in the future, that you both, if you needed time to separately to be able to cool down, be able to do that. So then when you do come together and you guys are trying to resolve the issue by communicating, it would make it easier for you guys to be able to communicate. So just take that tip number 3, schedule, commit to a time, day, and make sure that you guys have cooled down before you come together. Okay, so lesson to learn. Your relationship is an investment, and your relationship is worth the time and the communication that you're trying to put forth. And also know that when you're communicating, it's 2 different opinions and 2 points of view. And what you need to do is seek to understand your spouse or partner instead of always trying to be understood. And in doing that, I believe the communication will be more effective in finding a resolution.
If you liked our How to Communicate video, Please do us a favor, click below to subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified about future Love Reconciled videos. We have a lot more to share, and you don't want to miss one. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, love God more than anything.
And you'll do right by everything.
We love you.
See you next
time.